Yeah, Hanamura.
Wow. Hanamura, wow.
Totally, totally standard, of course, unlike us, but let's see, the gods are going to be like Genji. So this is a C9 comp. They're really, for a team that's so flexible, they do have KAISER on this Reinhardt, though.
So what does that say about Cloud9 on the attack, then? If they want to run a Reinhardt to get through this choke point, how about do they work with the Reinhardt? Do they kind of circulate around the point, actually, all together as a mass?
Yeah, I think they need to circulate around and just play from a side so actually Movistar can't surround them.
This is something that we did see a fair bit yesterday as well, to be fair. Was it NIP that we're doing it? Ah, I digress.
We've had so many games.
Yeah,
it's hard to remember.
So many, great excuse. That's
always my excuse.
But fair enough. I see C9 trying to outmaneuver here as well. And to be fair, it seems to have worked for the most part here. You can see they've got a couple of kills in fairly early, and Surefour as well. If you leave him at large, Dante, not much he can do. Kolsti hoping to drop in and grab that Mega, and he does at least get it.
Which is actually interesting. I would imagine that's one of the health packs that's going to get hacked because it allows your flankers to play in that position, go get that Mega picked up, and come back in from that high ground there directly in front.
Yeah, but in theory, but you know that C9 is probably going to circle around from your left, so you're probably going to try and hack the mini as well and just make it a bit harder for him in this room here. Ooh, hello, XWoosH. Switching over towards that Mei here, and neptuNo on the Zenyatta, so I think changes. I'm
going to say the Mei, and correct me if I'm wrong here, which I probably am, I typically am. He's running the Mei because he realizes we lost that first fight so heavily, we need to switch to something that can stall to bait out those ultimates and delay for time.
You know what, you're correct.
Yes! For once! I'll take it.
Oh, Jace, I mean, you're a top 500 player, so you got to know a couple things about the game. I think you are the highest ranked Overwatch player.
Yeah, but don't I duo with everyone, like all pros?
Well, I mean, I know a little bit about how you got there, okay? I mean, initially you did, but we'll leave that at that. There's a game to be going, and C9 are just pushing their way through here. This mate from XWoosH hasn't really achieved any of that efficacy that he was hoping to with the pick itself. He's been completely caught out of position. C9 are already on the point. They're already at home.
Oh my God.
They're eating his biscuits and drinking his tea, and there's nothing he can do about it. And now Movistar going to try and come back in, but xepheR, that's nasty. XWoosH fell to the self-destruct.
Oh my lord, they threw everything at him. They had the Dragon Blade of Transcendence and the self-destruct on top of that. 5 minutes and 50 seconds to go here, and they've made themselves a third of the way through on this capture, and it seems like Movistar is struggling to really get back on this point. Luckily for them, there's no soldier that they have to dislodge from the high ground here, but they're still keeping XWoosH on Mei, who's only at about 70% of his ultimate, so they're not going to have that blizzard for a while.
Yeah, and they really would need it as well. That would be a godsend, but he goes down again early. KAISER makes the earth shake, as he tends to do, and xepheR going to push right towards Dante. Oh dear, not much to be done for him, the poor guy. Roolf, though, is being protected very well. You can see the defensive matrix come across screen there from xepheR. Wow. He's being protected, and that's pretty scary from C9. 5 minutes and 22 remain on the clock here. They're taking absolutely no prisoners. Jason, take notes on how quick that was. Write it down.
I'm actually trying to remember what Movistar said to us when it came to playing 2CP, if they're feeling very confident in that.
Yeah, they are,
I believe they are. I believe it's like one of their stronger game modes, they said. Yeah, actually, they said like Volskaya is like their strongest map that they have. Obviously, it's not in the pool for this one, but they're very, very confident in 2CP. And they actually prefer 2CP, and they said they would choose to use it if they had the opportunity to. So that's actually really interesting. I mean, obviously, it's kind of a snowball effect, right? So you have to take the result with like a pinch of salt just to realize that, yeah, they lost the first fight so heavily. They never really got to the point where they could stall. They never got a good fight off where they could actually, like, you know, regroup themselves and say, all right, what's going wrong, guys? Where do we need to position, and how do we kind of go from there?
Here's a question, gentlemen. Maybe a little bit unrelated. Who do you think has a better smug face, Surefour or KAISER?
I would have to see, like...
I was looking at it on camera as well.
Can we get a comparison of that, actually? Production,
maybe. I mean,
up for us.
if they can find us Surefour and KAISER's smug faces, we get them side by side. And we can compare them later. That's something to be considering later on.
I think KAISER will have it in the long run, but Surefour hasn't now. Just give KAISER a couple of weeks.
Okay, to work on the smug face. Yeah. I don't know, bro. I think he's got that one down pretty well, but it is by the by, of course. We need to just take note here of what's happening. It's actually Adam going to be playing the Ana here as well, so this is interesting. Obviously, you're on defense, so bearing in mind, the Lucio is often used to peel for one or two of these supports, but C9 go without it here, Yuki.
So I wouldn't be surprised if Movistar actually switch to D.Va quite quickly, if they can, against the Zen Ana. Typically, this Cloud9 comp is going to be extremely strong. We've been seeing a lot of Zen Ana at TakeTV itself, run by Rogue.
Yeah.
I would say the Ana pick is mostly about the distance you have to cover and the positioning that you can get really far away from your teammates and still heal them.
You do it for like safety.
Yeah, like basically infinite range with an Ana. So if you can play a little bit safer, he doesn't have an escape mechanism as like a Lucio to help.
Well, you can both cover that whole courtyard and heal with those supports, I guess. And you can mitigate the healing if you bring the D.Va in, at least for the Ana's sake, and stop the damage for the Zenyatta. So Cloud9 really grouping up off the point. This is interesting setup. They're actually going to have to retake.
Yeah, so they're going to go back in. It looks like... Well, actually, I don't know. It looks like Movistar hasn't even been able to actually touch the point anymore after the initial captures. They backed away towards that Mega as well. But Adam getting a little bit aggressive here, playing with his team. But I mean, with those 3 beefed up lads in front of him, I think he's fairly safe here.
Yeah, that's right. I think he's one happy to let his big brothers do the work here. Now, Kolsti's fallen to gods. Of course, with that Roadhog there, it can often be a matter of time before your tank or someone is hooked in and picked up. Someone's spamming need healing, and I'm enjoying it. I think it's actually KAISER. That's great. Logix has found a pulse more towards Adam. Surefour at least deals with him after. Goes back and gets the mini. Can still work on this point, but again, he's got only the defense of xepheR there as well, who can throw the defense matrix out, but he was eventually picked up. xepheR didn't have much of it left. He gets desuited here, so... kind of a really weird, really drawn-out fight.
That was actually so reliant on Logix actually hitting that full spawn, because if he didn't, then Movistar was still coming from that one-dimensional just space with the dive stomp, and I think they really need to surround them more there.
Much better.
They were just pouring straight through from the other side of the gong, weren't they?
Yeah.
Not sure. It was, I mean, it was sort of, you know, we know the Movistar like to sort of take their time before they dive in, but C9 as well, jockeying back and forth. It does remind me of the early triple tank comps where it was all about breaking shields.
Maybe they were also hoping that someone would get a little aggressive there, or like you said, with Logix sticking that pulse bomb onto Adam, it really kind of opened things wide up for them. But in the meantime, we do see ultimates up for Cloud9 to defend with, so I would imagine Movistar's going to get anywhere close to the time that Cloud9 has. This TakeOver's going to come in, going to do some decent damage, yes, but the point's still being contested. They haven't really got the initial capture just yet.
He timed it so well, though. He waited until xepheR was desuited, of course, and then went straight for it. Something that we haven't seen, actually, from some teams. Some teams make the mistake of just going for it anyway. C9 seem to be able to stabilize a little bit there as well. It's Gods who's found neptuNo with the headshot and the shuriken. Dante can be dangerous from this angle, though, and he can try and back up XWoosH as much as possible. Gods fell to Logix as well. The DPSs for Movistar Riders are still at large, but they still opt to back away.
I'm surprised to see Dante still just pushed up, actually, while waiting for a couple of respawns to come back through. Again, you can see KAISER pushing out towards the far-hand side. Looking to maybe catch someone off guard, but they still have that massive shield god ready with his Dragon Blade. And I mean, Dante, who just uses Transcendence in that last fight, doesn't have it up in time to actually counter this. So ideally, in the perfect world, Gods can hold on to this point with just his ultimate alone, and then save it for Roolf and Adam to more importantly get their support ultimates ready.
Yeah, that'll be very crucial as well for C9 going to weather the storm. Gods, it's the Dragon Blade coming in now as well. What's to be found? He's mostly just trying to work on the Harmony Orbed Finnsi, and he has found him, so at least he's gotten that. So the one kill. Surefour comes through and finds Kolsti here, and C9 probably don't want to spend too much more on this one. They've actually used a couple of ultimates already in that fight to try and stabilize.
All right, so Earthshatter was used out of KAISER. xepheR can be switched over to the Winston, actually. So he came off the D.Va after that self-destruct, switches to Winston.
But this is something actually Bishop told me about, is that they actually do switch off to the Winston, xepheR from the D.Va, so it's quite interesting.
Why do they do that then?
I think it's because they know Genji has ult soon. So he can just follow the Genji on his ult.
Yeah, and make it hard. So XWoosH is not being backed up by a sound barrier or Transcendence, which is even harder if he wants to dive deep, then you can really punish that. They did this on the control map earlier on as well. Logix gets a lot of damage on towards KAISER. It's a very swift Bionic Grenade thrown straight at the ground by Adam to keep that Reinhardt alive. And Gods swings on through as a shuriken and a good bite to Logix as he falls. Surefour's taken down by a Helix Rocket though, so both key DPSs, both Traces down on either side. Guess what though? It is Trace the Genji. It's going to be xepheR to give XWoosH a shocking hello. And he's going to go down. No chance to use the Dragon Blade. In fact, Movistar actually saved it there at least.
I think Logix got caught out actually, because we saw him recall as the camera switched to him before and he recalled outside the window. He went back in, I think overestimated how quick that cooldown was going to come off cooldown, because he went to the side room to kind of pull them that direction so he could recall back out and didn't have it up in time, which allowed Gods to finish him off. I mean, you can see he still had a blink available, but he was spamming that E key trying to get that recall.
This is awfully patient from Movistar, but it might be time for them to pull the trigger. They've got 5 ultimates in play. Transcendence comes out for Dante up on the high ground, and Kolsti's keeping his distance for the moment. Did benefit from that healing as well, and now he's going to come back in. Maybe he wants to head towards the high ground. There's going to be the Dragon Blade coming out for XWoosH over this one, but he's taken so low. He can't get involved. He needs to go for the Mega. That's a Dragon Blade that's gone down the drain, but to be fair, Gods didn't find much for his either. Adam, the Bionic Grenade connects with Logix to take him down, and Finnsi has to back away. He still has attack visor. Movistar Riders do have ultimates, but they're down to just the 76ers. And they're not even going to use it here. So much of that bank was just burnt through, and C9 just bore the brunt of it and bounced back.
think Movistar misplayed there just because of the amount of ults they used at the same time. I think they need to use one ult and then see what they can draw out and see what they can get from that and then go on with the other ults.
Yeah, maybe try and be responsive to what they're actually seeing in the fight instead of just all trying to go nuts for it. That's disappointing to see them burn through such a huge you know, stack of ultimates. And look at this, xepheR is giving xewoosh so many nightmares on this Winston.
Considering you have Finnsi with attack riser ready to go, and there's no diva anymore to actually block him off. There's nothing to really stop him anymore for getting so much free damage in. It just comes down to KAISER, and who's going to sit behind him? It's kind of a shame for Movistar that they haven't been able to set up in that position to make this ultimate really be used.
Look, dollars to dustbins, they should have had that last fight. They should have had it. They had the old advantage. Theoretically, you should win when you have that. Now C9 have it. And there's 2 minutes and 17 seconds on the clock for Movistar to even just keep themselves in the map, let alone win. They can't even win from this position. We're going to have to go again. But Surefour finds Dante as well, and that's just taken the legs out from under Movistar Riders. They need him back, especially needing to be searching for that early pick in these fights.
So I'm really confused, Ricky, why they keep trying to go high ground like this against a Reinhardt. Yeah, they'd have no shield to protect from a shatter, and they have no clean way to move in.
I'm not sure either. I really think teams underestimate going main. Sure, they've got a nade to throw at you, but you can block that. And I think just going main...
You can spread out and dodge the...
And jump in the high ground is so much better than going for this choke.
And if they had a diva, then okay, yeah, all right, that's likely because you can at least mitigate a lot of things being fired your direction, but just to run straight in that position. I mean, obviously they're trying to get Finnsi into the middle ground. They're trying to get him in a position that he can sit there, use attack visor, not be disrupted. But look at the presence that Cloud9 and the emphasis they're putting on that position.
And they still have xepheR as well, who can interrupt that. They still have gods and Surefour that can get up in the face of a 76 there. Maybe they're overcomplicating this a little bit too much, especially KAISER's. The best way you're going to deal with this Reinhardt is try and fight in the open and spread out over that main point. It's a big old square. They just need to get themselves in there.
More of like a rectangle.
Well, it's a quadrangle if you want to go there. Anyway, gods, it's a xewoosh strike to find xewoosh to start the fight off. And look how many ultimates C9 have as well. Earthshatter comes in, KAISER's more than happy. With 2, he gets Logix and neptuNo. There's a lot of value for that. At least Movistar went main ultimately, but KAISER was still able to catch them.
What? So they invested a sound barrier into that and lost 2 right away. The 2 DPSs where KAISER only had to use a shatter. And as you just pointed out to us, there's 5 ultimates up for Cloud9 and potentially the last fight of the game.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. I'm not sure how Movistar take this. I think they've kind of overcomplicated things and it should have just gone through main dry fights with one fight and then gone into the next fight with more ults. But yeah, they keep going top right for some reason. Now they're going through main by the looks of it.
This could be nasty, Yuki. I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you, mate. You probably know better than I do, though. There's 5 ultimates available for C9 here, and they've been so good at just filtering those through very slowly. Only use them when needed. Movistar lost neptuNo too early. They can't afford to wait for him to respawn in. They need to do something. But Kolsti, no, he needs to get away. He had that primal rage and he's going to try and back away, but still being very threatened. C9 has staggered Movistar so well. There's no chance, no hope for them, surely. Overtime comes in, a Logix put himself on the point, but that's all. Finnsi can't even get there. He dropped down incorrectly and xewoosh tries to jump into the middle of C9. They're just trying to stall right now, Movistar, not even trying to do damage. Unfortunately, they're going to need that and lots of it. xewoosh has found 2 with a Dragon Blade. Surely not Clutch Master xewoosh again. That would be unbearable. My heart couldn't take it. xepheR jumps over the top, and that's it. neptuNo to fall down, overtime to tick through, and C9, that is a dominant performance here on Hanamura. That was really impressive. They played with such composure, and it must be...
It's just dependent on whether he can get a pick. And obviously that boosted damage, if he gets those body shots, it still could be a kill.
All right, well, we're going to be looking to see the communication between Surefour and towards Roolf. Gets a nice headshot there on a Kolsti, who takes him down to about a 3rd HP. He's already at 50% on his infra side as well, so getting really close to being able to pull this off and be able to see where people are going to be coming from, which it looks like they're going to be avoiding him for the most part, going in through the bottom part of the caves. You can see he hits the body shot, but it doesn't look like the Discord was there.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have the damage boost, right? If that was damage boosted, it could potentially have been a kill. That's the scariest part. xewoosh falls foul of the SMG of the Widowmaker, and Surefour is able to get him but a couple kills from Movistar means that for C9 this has to be a little bit more of a tentative positioning now. They're still going to set up on the high ground. You can see that Surefour's a little bit unsure if he wants to go back towards that high ground here. He's trying to take a couple shots, a very quick rappel up.
Being protected.
God's on the Tracer here as well, which is, by the way, something we don't see that often at all.
Yeah, we're seeing, Surefour actually protected quite heavily by xepheR and by KAISER. Looks like xewoosh was able to get the kill onto Roolf, so at least take one support out of the equation, gets the second kill onto KAISER with him going down, and Adam will force the res out of him to actually get those people back alive, which he does. But does he escape safely? And it looks like with the help of Surefour, he's able to do just that.
Yeah, that's important that Adam can get back towards Surefour. Obviously, him having used that infra site early, giving a lot of information, that's just timed out now, if I'm not mistaken. XWoosH, he goes and finds Surefour. There's no way he could have seen that one coming either. XWoosH has been such a menace in this fight. I think he's killed KAISER now twice, or at least with the help of Logix. And it's Movistar Riders really kind of thriving in this brawl situation. Prolonged engagement seems to suit them quite well.
We're seeing Surefour still stick to Widow at the moment. So is this just kind of he didn't switch in time? Or is this, yeah.
Yeah, he was switching now.
All right.
He got wrecked on the spawn, unfortunately. Because he died so early in that fight to XWoosH.
But Gods went back to Genji, so probably will be switching over to Tracer here in a few seconds.
Yeah. Safe guess, that one. So xepheR and KAISER, obviously now no more Reinhardt, as this is a little bit more of a stage of the map that features verticality that Reinhardt generally can't make the most of. XWoosH! Speaking of verticality, he comes straight on down. It's a dive bombing, and it's 2 kills already. Now he's looking just to clean off xepheR. He might just have to, you know, fight another day at this stage, because KAISER comes straight through and gives him a quick tase and reminds him exactly of who he is.
Still getting a lot of progress in the meantime, though.
That's pretty big that they just... Sorry.
No, go ahead.
That's pretty big that they got that fight off just with the Genji ult. That's a lot of space, and now it's just going to be a last fight before this.
It's ridiculous value as well for what he's been able to create there. He's literally bought 63 meters of payload progress with that Dragon Blade. Roolf, though, starting to frag out a little bit, I'm not going to lie.
Gets himself a nice little sick double kill, and most importantly, denies the area that Finnsi was trying to play with on that soldier on the high ground, where they would come out of spawn and line right up for him in kills. But again, we have xepheR back on the D.Va. KAISER trying to maintain the high ground position. So pretty similar to what we saw on Hollywood. This is kind of what I always refer Route 66 second point to, is Hollywood's second point. Because of the position of the high ground and how important it is in the team's emphasis on making sure you have a very mobile composition.
That's the name of the game on this part of the map, especially, Jason. Obviously, that saloon is designed to be trodden over roughshod as you go back and forth across and try and make the most of the skies. Now, Movistar have 4 ultimates, 5 in fact to work with here, so they've definitely bided their time nicely. You can see Finnsi won't be tack visoring until xepheR is a non-issue. He's actually forced to back away there as well. He got dived on by KAISER as well, but KAISER may have just dived a little bit too deep. He's fallen to XWoosH now with a Transcendence here, being forced out from Roolf pretty darn quickly. Self-destruct over the top. It's going to claim a target. Still neptuNo's. Not much he can do about that. He was getting healed by Dante, but self-destruct is burst damage, and burst damage don't give a damn about Transcendence.
Finnsi did use the attack visor there. Only got 1 kill, that one onto Adam, and now XWoosH could be popping off his blade here. Eventually able to get the kill onto Roolf there with the help of Kolsti, but not much more off the back of that because Pyjamas is still alive. He's still trying to stall for a little bit of time. Kolsti eventually able to finish him off, and now we're going to see Cloud9 try to rush out as quickly as they can to make sure to contest this. They still have a man there. I believe it's KAISER in Primal Rage form, just trying to stall for some time. Is able to do just that, but look at this. The payload's about to cross the line here, and they need someone to touch it in time. 4 meters left to go. Finally, someone's going to get out there. Now, Adam leading the charge for his team.
Ooh, I don't know if he got quite the jump he really wanted there. I think he wanted to get back towards his team. KAISER was on the payload that whole time. I think he might have ducked away just to get some healing, but again, it wasn't a full reset from C9. They haven't got all of their players here. It's just a matter of trying to stall this out for as long as they can, and that's the most they can manage. 3 minutes and 33 seconds was what remains on the time.
So I wonder, are we going to see Ayuki, maybe some Reinhardt play here come out of KAISER? Or maybe Kolsti. I mean, obviously, I think Kolsti's probably going to stay towards the Winston, but do you think KAISER's going to switch over to Reinhardt to be that front line and to mitigate a large amount of area that Movistar can shoot through?
Or why would you want to take the Reinhardt here, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really narrow area, this last point, so you've not got many, especially when you get to that kind of last fight, you've not got many places to kind of surround the enemy team, so it's really about that surrounding Reinhardt and that capability to be able to do that.
It's tough to flank on this part of the map. There's no doubt about it. You can use the high ground, of course, but both teams normally have flankers that are trying to compete for, you know, control of those platforms on either side. That's what makes this such an interesting stage in general. However, KAISER hasn't switched yet, and God's going to go for the Dragon Blade. It looks like both of them are as well. No, it's not an Echo. It's both Genji. He's getting jiggy with it, but it's going to be XWoosH to find the first one. neptuNo with the sound barrier as well, keeping his Genji nice and topped up while he goes deep into the enemy territory here. Nice fight from Movistar Riders. They are really starting to fire up.
Just because you said that, now I have the na.
Yeah. Yo, that's like a throwback to my childhood. I don't even know where that came from, dude.
He needs to make more music.
Yeah, dude.
Hands down.
Yo, that Men in Black track he did was the best. Yeah.
Anyways, that's another movie. If you guys haven't seen it, go check it out. Men in Black. Great film. Either way, round 66 is still kicking off here as Cloud9 are looking to maintain this third position, try to stop this payload from actually crossing that finish line. As Dante using the Transcendence wasn't forced out of him, but it looks like it was needed out of him for his teammates. Going to respond to it on Roolf, trying to keep his teammates healthy. Finnsi with attack visors ready to go, but he doesn't have the opportunity, he doesn't have the freedom and the necessarily the positioning to pull this one off.
This could be quite dangerous. neptuNo's actually found Surefour, which is a huge pickup, but Adam's done the same. He's found XWoosH, so both teams, Lucio's finding important flankers, important damage dealers. KAISER up on the payload, but he's not the king of the jungle for too much longer. Kolsti's going to drop straight on down. xepheR on that high ground as well. TakeOver's going to be coming through over the top. That's Finnsi trying to find a few targets. So far, none. xepheR's giving him so many problems that it's a self-destruct. It's a package right in the face, and it's not one that Movistar riders want. It's the kind you'd light out on fire and put in front of someone's door as a prank. Surefour forced to back away. He's got a pulse bomb. And C9 hold for now. It's a minute 20 on the clock. You like that one, Jason?
I just don't know what kind of package you were talking about.
Yes, you do. Everyone does.
For the sake of being a PG stream, I don't know what you're talking about. Cloud9 with Gods. He's ready actually with his Dragon Blade in a few seconds. And we're going to see Movistar with no support ultimate to respawn. neptuNo quickly needs to build up the sound barrier to have any sort of chance to survive against. The sound barrier being popped out of Cloud9 just so they can get aggressive here, keep him off this payload, but no kills really coming off this. And there we go. That's going to be... Actually, Gods, he's taken out by XWoosH with a Swiss strike to actually eliminate him before that blade gets pulled out of its sheath. And that means he's going to have his ultimate up in the next fight.
Yeah, everything changed when the Weeb Nation attacked and XWoosH is really making the damage happen. 2 kills coming out from him, and the Genji has been so important. Cloud9 have a chance to do that themselves, though. God's now going to come through and try and reciprocate, or at least to try and match. But he goes down. He's just shocked to death, of course. The Tesla cannon takes him out. Kolsti onto xepheR. There is a Mei in ice form over on that point. The Movistar riders might be able to get this done in regulation. That would be big. Payload's very close towards the end, and it's done. Movistar riders push all the way through. XWoosH again. Multiple occasions, he has been a huge contributor.
We actually saw Logix switch to Widow on the end there as well. I'm not sure if you noticed that.
I guess because he can't be accessed because C9 are too busy contesting on the payload.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess it's maybe a little bit similar to last point Gibraltar if you get the high ground. I guess the concept at least.
Yeah, or last point Hollywood.
Yep.
Okay. Well, now moving into the second half here momentarily. Cloud9 going to be back on the attack. The first time here on Route 66. And 21 seconds, so finishing in regulation. Pretty big deal for them.
Under a minute, though, I guess, as well. Like, you really want to try and aim for more than a minute on these maps. But it's Route 66 as well, which is notoriously really hard to finish, especially with how treacherous that first point is.
I think as long as you finish the map en route, it's fine. As long as you get to that overtime, because those fights on the first point can take you a long way across the map. So
yep.
I think it's irrelevant how much time you actually have left. It's about finishing the map.
That's a very good way of putting it there as well, Yuki. All right, let's see here as well. XWoosH on D.Va. This is incredibly different, I would say. It's a safe guess. I mean, I guess at least they have that option here as well. Have you seen this before from him, Mikey, in scrims or anything like that?
Say that again, sorry.
Have you seen the XWoosH D.Va at all from these guys?
He actually said in the interview that he's been practicing it.
Okay.
I believe he brought it out in the previous game.
Oh, did he?
Yes, I believe he did. He said in the interview anyway.
Okay.
So yeah, it's something they've been practicing, obviously, in scrims. Not sure how good it is, but I guess we'll see. And I actually like this adaptation because obviously Movistar have been struggling on defense, so it's something different for Cloud9 to think about.
And they switched Dante up as well over to the Ana, so not going to be playing the Zenyatta for the team. At the moment, we're seeing, let's say Surefour on Torbjorn. Don't really expect that at all. Adam will be playing the Hanzo for a few seconds just to make sure to see what's around them in the initial points.
You check the party car, of course, because that's the one that... If you can get a sick first fight, you can have 3 good fights if you can hide inside that car and not be detected as a defending team. But we digress, of course. Now, it's going to be Roolf again on the Zenyatta.
What's kind of interesting is that they lose a lot of kill potential, the Movistar riders, because XWoosH, as you've seen in so many matches on that Genji, has been picked up kills after kills. And
I guess they just want to stall, though, don't they, and prevent C9 from finishing in general.
Well, I mean, that just maybe shows the confidence they have in XWoosH on the D.Va when they've already been doing so well on the attack with it initially. Maybe they're feeling very comfortable with him on the D.Va and they can play around it, because obviously changes up how you play quite a bit, especially for a support player when you have him to protect you.
Look at this back and forth right now. Both teams actually trading aggression. No one's committed to the fight just yet. Well, I say that just as KAISER proves me wrong. I'm happy to see that happen, though. He gets straight on towards Dante, and Gods to follow up here. They managed to circumvent the protection of XWoosH and make it very, very hard. It's going to be the Shoryuken, I guess. Oh, no, which one is it? The upper punch?
Shoryuken.
That is Shoryuken. There we go. I got there in the end. I'm really bad at that game. Don't judge me. Anyway, Cloud9 win that fight out pretty well, and it was KAISER to make the first dive to find that first pick off on the Ana.
My ultimate is charging.
All right, so they got Surefour set up and ready to go with attack visor. God's getting close to his blade. I mean, Dante, if you're in this situation for him, who do you nano? Because Finnsi doesn't have his visor, and the chance of him getting this fight, it's there, but it might be too late, and he might get picked off. So you throw it over onto Kolsti, or do you throw it over to Logix?
You could do it to Logix, just to get this high ground.
Well, Logix, just think about there as well. We're actually having attack visor come through at this stage. That's from Surefour. Nothing found for that one except for the neptuNo at the end there, but it was fine because C9 already paved the way towards that fight really nicely. God's had a huge involvement as well, even before he pulled this Dragon Blade out. So C9 get to that second checkpoint. God's is mildly excited. No, actually doesn't look really too phased. Just a bit of a flick of the mouse there as well to make sure everything's working optimally. Optimally? Okay. Okay, Mitch. Okay.
That's an Australian word, right?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Australian dialect for optimally.
God help me. All right, so XWoosH, of course, has that self-destruct coming up. So does xepheR as well. Be interesting because we've seen C9 use so much of this D.Va on xepheR, but we haven't often seen these two teams interact when they're both running that pick. So I'm curious to see how this works. xepheR's like, no, he's the king of the castle. This is my high ground. He's peeling back, though, for his backline. That's really nice. He takes responsibility for Logix, who's harassing his supports. Self-destruct comes in. Nothing found there for XWoosH.
We're still looking for more, though. He's actually looking to focus on a Dante, which they do get with the help of KAISER. So a two-man wrecking squad with him and KAISER. Able to pick up these kills after kills. And Roolf gets the decent on his XWoosH, which allows xepheR to be even more present with his defense ranges, which now Movistar Riders will just not have. They're looking to shove this one home right in the faces of their spawn. Kolsti's going to be able to escape for now, but damage has been done so far, and Cloud9 is looking to push this payload, though it's still being contested in the meantime, even though Movistar Riders realized that we're not going to be able to hold this.
And I guess that's what they're trying to create with his dive defense as well. Just try and make it as costly as possible for C9, and then try and end the game in the final stage. That's generally probably what they're going to hope for. I spoke about it a little bit with Bishop yesterday as well, and that's sort of what he says. It's like, yeah, just stall. Just stall for the first 2 points. It's super hard. If you're not going to full hold first, don't even bother trying it on second, and then set up to make the third a really treacherous push for the attackers.
Just having that D.Va pick as well to stall on the payload that actually forced out KAISER's ult because they weren't sure they were going to win it because Movistar were just surviving.
That's massive. That's what you want to strike that doubt into them to force those ultimates here. So another fight, of course. Movistar are going to take this one outside of the third stage.
Roolf pops the Transcendence. Not sure exactly why, but he gets it off nonetheless to make sure they can have a clean transition into the third phase. Top fire's going to be popped. Finnsi gets us off, but unfortunately, he gets taken out before he gets much actually used out of it. He does get it off and has 70% left as it was being used. So yeah, he obviously lost, a good 80% on that one, and Surefour was able to help clean up. They're going to get the second point, and they have a ton of time, 4 minutes to close this one out.
They do, but who was it that had 5.5 minutes to finish this yesterday? Was it like Nip or someone like that? I mean, that's always the silver lining, right? It's this part of the map that can be very, very hard for attackers to sort of penetrate through.
I'm pleading the fifth of there's too many games this year.
Yeah, plead the fifth, plead away. I mean, we'll see if KAISER still wants to go on that Winston as well. It always tells me quite a lot about what C9 are planning there if they want to stick with it, but that's not good. They lose neptuNo really early on in that fight. There's no real ultimates available for Movistar Riders, but a sound barrier here for C9. God has the Dragon Blade, and now he decides he wants to go for it here as well. Straight between the shoulder blades of Dante. He plunges it, and now he's going to be looking for that Winston over the payload here just to try and cut down the primal rage. It's annoying. It's a pain in the neck to have Kolsti waylaying the payload as he was, and he was more than happy to try and carve him up.
And Finnsi's even switched over to the Zarya, as we talked about before. Is he going to be playing the Zarya? Because that's the only way they really dealt with xepheR. And he's only at 30% of his ultimate as he did switch into this third phase, but Logix trying to go for the flank from behind. Doesn't have his pulse bomb just yet, and might be able to get it off in the fight if he doesn't get bursted out in time.
He's looking to see where the source of those orbs is, I think, as well. He definitely wants to try and jump on towards Roolf here if he can. XWoosH had a nano boosted Dragon Blade, though, as well, so twice the fun, twice the damage. He can't quite connect. He finds KAISER at least, and that gives him the dash that's going to allow him to charge through. But is this an overextension? Possibly. Pops that reflect and backs away.
Well, they should still manage to pick off Gods there, though. Being very aggressive, trying to delay this as long as they possibly can. Remember, it's 4 minutes of time on the board for Cloud9, now down to about 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Roolf will have his Transcendence, but they don't really have any big ultimates to follow it up with. Maybe Surefour with the Attack Visor would be enough. And Finnsi's been able to at least double his ult percent he had from the previous fight into this one at 70%. And then grab surge. I don't know if Logix is going to wait for it. Obviously, Logix spots at the right time and has the opportunity to hit a pulse bomb. He's going to be going for it, but there's Surefour. Picks up the kill on the Dante. Sound barrier enough forced out of the defending team here. Movistar just trying to delay as long as they can.
Yeah, a little bit of a late sound barrier, though. I mean, not much you can do to try and save Dante in that situation, so they're going to be missing that Ana, that extra healing. That makes a big difference. KAISER back towards the payload, notices that Logix is being a little bit of a pain in the neck, and C9 have lost 2 players, so he now is here to even the score, even the ledger. He's got a primal rage as well if he wants to keep this going, but he decides that perhaps his job is done.
Sayuki here, if you're Cloud9, are you just waiting for ultimates to build up to the critical point of you can win the fight, or do you see a potential switch coming in? They know there's a Graviton surge up for Finnsi, so obviously xepheR's probably going to be keeping his D.Va.
Yeah, so Cloud9 have some time to play with, so this is like two or three fights. If they can dry fight and draw out this Zarya Tracer ult, then I mean, Movistar still have quite a lot of ultimates after that, so it's going to be difficult, but they need to play it like an assault map with dry fighting.
Finnsi can't afford to give up this grab as well. He will need to wait for xepheR. And this is the kind of moment where if you're Logix, you think, if I just stick this D.Va and de-suit it, it might just be worthwhile.
Problem is, he doesn't have a Lucio to speed him up, to run in and shoot it directly at the ground, so it gives xepheR such easy time to actually block it.
Down a boost to Dragon Blade for SWoosH is going in, but it's a sound barrier that he still needs to get through. That's now been mostly dealt with, but Gods is doing a better job. He's found himself 2 in this fight already, and he didn't have a nano boost to work with. That's a big marker of skill or the ability for the Genji to make things happen. Logix. Got eaten right up. I still heard the sound. I still heard the detonation, but it definitely was eaten. Just a bit of a sound thing. C9, they're on the way towards a finish there as well. They will have gotten this map done again inside 1 minute, but there's a chance for a lot of stall to be happening here. xepheR's going to drop his suit off at the dry cleaners and get himself a new one. Kolsti's found Gods though, and it's traded to 5v5 now. Surefour keeping his distance and wants to flank around the side. He's found his target. He needs to go for this Zenyatta. But no, it's not going to be enough. By a grenade left from Dante. Too much for C9 to deal with. This could be quite dangerous for the North American squad.
Movistar could do this. Gods even forced to switch from the Genji over to the Roadhog, so they have some final oomph power, some sort of hook to allow them to have a man advantage into the final push. 20 seconds remaining. Look at Cloud9. No ultimates to be seen. Roolf's going to have his up momentarily, which they might throw on top of KAISER just to maybe build up some sort of Earth Shatter. Movistar, they're going to have a Transcendence. neptuNo has to stay alive.
Switch to the Zaya here as well, xepheR, so if he can get charged up, he'll probably get the nano boost for Roolf. That's what they're hoping for here. Or Gods as well. The pressure forward now. This is the last moment. 3 seconds remain. C9 is set up. The stage is set. It's time to throw down and get to the end of the map. Overtime is in. Roolf, nano boost. Did he hit that sleep? Surely not. I'm not quite sure. We're going to have to check that one later, but KAISER's super low. He needs to try and heal him up there. It is still alive. Somehow the unkillable Emperor falls, though. The pulse bomb was dropped on him now. It's all about SWoosH yet again, trying to save the day. He finds his second kill. xepheR's being pushed back off towards the side of self-destruct just to make sure the job is done. And it's a split series. Movistar Riders hold C9 off. It's 2-2.
And Ayuki's sitting over smiling like I told you guys. It's going to be a 2.